Nobody has a proven case study to show that, hey, if you do this, you're going to get this. Especially when you know, like ChatGPT, for example, hasn't updated its internal knowledge base since April 2024. The advice I keep receiving and could be better at too is hire fast, fire faster to make sure you have the right people. Delegate. You can't do everything the best. There are people who can do things that are way better than you can, but at the same time, you're wearing many hats. And because of that, you're kind of half-assing just about everything.
Jason, first question I always love to ask agency owners when they come on the podcast is, how are you best using AI right now as an agency owner?
Yeah, I think the best way we're using AI is really for workflow, productivity. We've been able to open up a lot of capacity with individual team members just by cutting down significant time, and whether it's AI specifically or just automations that may also utilize AI in a way, just cutting down a lot of time. Things that used to take an hour, 2 hours can be done in like 10, 15 minutes. And I think that's the biggest way we've been using AI in our agency.
Awesome. And okay, so I'm hoping that all your team are completely game and using AI, and they're building away at workflows and they're bringing stuff to the table. When AI was because you've been running your agency for nearly 9 years, so you've experienced when AI was kind of coming to the table and there was like new tools coming out I feel like there's still new tools coming out everywhere. But how did you kind of get your whole team to get up to speed with AI and start using it day to day?
Yeah, I think the biggest one was probably showing what was in it for them to adapt and evolve with the changing times. Hey, you're stressed about this thing taking X amount of time and you had a family dinner to go to. Work-life balance might be impacted because of this one item. What if we can cut down time so that you have more than enough padding before that dinner? That's just a hyperbolic example, but kind of showing what's in it for them, where sometimes, SEO is awesome, but sometimes SEO is not so fun and exciting, and it can be boring, annoying, and tedious. Showing that, hey, those annoying things don't have to be as annoying. They can be cut down in half. You can focus on other areas, especially education, professional growth, and get your time back in a way just by adopting to the changing times and bringing in new technologies in your workflow, and then even bringing new technologies. So we try to have everyone in the mindset of, think of the things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis. Is it possible to automate a little bit of what you're doing? Is it possible to make things just a little faster? And the answer might be no. But at least having that mindset allows people to start thinking about the systems and processes that they do.
Awesome. I love it. And so as a business owner, Jason, is there anything you're using it for specifically, maybe to maximize research, maybe use it as a business consultant, finance advisor?
Yeah, I don't control finance, which is awesome anymore. So maybe the biggest one, I think, is for me as a leader. I found a lot of help building a custom GPT for myself that's very built on my style. And it's very much also built on, like, tell me if I'm wrong. Like, don't be a yes man. And it includes various different leadership frameworks. I'm a New Yorker, by nature, I'm kind of blunt, and as people perceive as arrogant, but I see as just maybe brutally honest or radically transparent. So it helps me frame things and also see things in a different perspective, where it's meant to be a counter to where I'm thinking and let me know if I'm doing things right. I think from a business standpoint, that's one of the best uses that I use quite frequently when it comes to navigating different situations in the agency, navigating situations with the client, how to take the biases and emotions out of the equation. And the GPT is consistently getting updated. Every time I find a flaw, it gets more instructions added to it. So that's one of them. And then for research, absolutely. Deep research has been really cool to help us find leads and prospective businesses to reach out to in our outbound campaigns. And a lot of the heavy lifting has been done with both Gemini deep research, which was surprisingly pretty decent, and OpenAI's as well, ChatGPTs.
That's awesome. I love how you mentioned the leadership style and trying to ask for honest feedback, because I spend quite a lot of time on ChatGPT and Gemini, and if you ask it to just be ruthless with you, it can uncover some things you didn't know about yourself.
Yeah, and if you don't say that, then it just gaslights you. It says, "Oh yeah, of course, that wasn't correct. Let me give you a new version. Oh, of course, that new version wasn't correct, also, or whatever it is." Yeah, I have one that like emphasizes every single point, like, "Oh, I'm about to go real at you right now," and it's quite funny. So makes it a little bit humorous that AI is about to put you in your place.
Awesome. And so you Break the Web is a predominantly SEO agency. Um, how has AI impacted kind of Break the Web's SEO strategy? Like what's kind of working? What do you see dying?
Yeah, our SEO strategy has actually relatively remained the same, to be honest. I think when it comes to our search marketing, search content marketing efforts, we've kind of moved a little bit down the funnel more versus super informational, just because of AI overviews, just stealing clicks from super top of the funnel. But it's just been interesting because we have had clients that have asked us, like, how are we going to adapt to the times of AEO or GEO, whatever acronym anyone decides to use? And we keep finding more and more, not only just us, but the industry too, that a lot of this kind of comes full circle with SEO, where a lot of these platforms are using real-time searches in Bing and Google. And at the same time, just having the clients being visible is still going to be the most important thing. So our overall strategy really hasn't changed outside of just mentioning it more, letting the clients know that, hey, we're on top of it. If things really change, and we're also keeping an eye on their consumer behaviors. Like we work with a lot of D2C, B2C brands. So their clients and customers are everyday people, whereas we're kind of like in a technology bubble in a way. So there's no escaping the topic of AI, but a lot of people don't really know about AI or Gemini unless they see it in a TV commercial about what's really going on. So until there's a big shift in consumer behavior, then for the most part, we're continuing on this route and not focusing on things that aren't measurable or trackable.
Yeah. I love that because I mentioned that. So I live in Portugal in this like little town beside the sea, and everybody still pays cash. I think the average salary here is like $800 a month. It's like very labor intensive. There's not a chance anybody knows what AI is here. And you can get so sucked in on your computer and chatting to your friends and your colleagues or whatever. You're just like, oh, everything's going up in the air. But then you kind of come back to reality and you see, oh, like it might be a lot slower than you actually think. But you mentioned there about how, yeah, we're kind of like in an experimentation phase. Right? I feel like nobody has the real blueprint of how to rank on LLMs, rank on AI overviews. But what kind of things are you seeing? What kind of direction are you guys heading?
I mean, what you just said is kind of our biggest takeaway. And I've been on a few podcasts talking about this exactly. Like nobody has a proven case study to show that, hey, if you do this, you're going to get this. Especially when like ChatGPT, for example, hasn't updated its internal knowledge base since April 2024. And that's just their internal knowledge base. So they may make a real time search, which probably costs them a lot more money than just answering a prompt. They're using search and they're going back to Google. So being visible in Bing and Google is kind of how you can get surfaced. And it doesn't need to be your website specifically, but it also could include, good digital PR, good brand awareness, appearing in listicles, as people like to say. But there really is no foolproof framework of success. And there's people who are preaching what to do. And I think a lot of it is cool and logical. And I agree with some of it based on logic, but we're marketers and we're supposed to be data driven. Let data drive us when nobody really has data. I mean, we can collect data, but we don't have data on an action which causes a reaction, which then has an effect in a way. So it's definitely interesting, but we are like seeing a lot. I mean, our website gets a lot of traffic from both ChatGPT and Perplexity, which is always fun to watch as it comes in. So I think again, yeah, still people within the techosphere are using these platforms, but they're also people are going to give money to these platforms, like make a purchase on these platforms, or are people just going to continue on once they get the information they need, go back to Google and continue with their regular SEO process?
Yeah. Did you see ChatGPT indexing conversations?
Actually, yeah, I think it's been doing that since the beginning. I remember when
That's it, yeah.
ChatGPT share links first came out, and I think I just saw it on LinkedIn this afternoon again. Somebody just posted about it, which is always hilarious. Maybe somebody will use that for parasite SEO. Who knows?
Awesome. And then let's talk about kind of client AI fears. So, there's a lot of SEOs and in-house teams out there that are worried AI will replace them. How do you guys position SEO as still essential?
SEO, I mean, I've been in SEO since 2010. And right when I started getting good at it, or I think I was good at SEO, the first Panda update came out and just changed everything. And that changed the way we handled on-page SEO as a whole. And everyone was talking about SEO is dead. And this is the same theme that keeps coming up over and over again every couple of years. I remember the most recent one was voice search, which nothing ever happened with that. But SEO is dead because of everyone's moving to voice search. So we have clients that are asking about it, but we actually like to be proactive and get ahead of it. There's a chance they may already be aware, or their leadership team is talking about AI, marketing, how SEO might be dead, and getting ahead of it with expectation setting, with education, asking leadership to jump on a meeting and happy to discuss and hear your thoughts on it. And you can hear ours, and there may not be a right or wrong, but at least, we have clarity on where we both stand on the take of SEO, on AI. So, yeah, I mean, clients are asking about it, and I don't think at this moment anyone's really fearful of their job being lost. A lot of people like to say the good marketers are going to be the ones that best use AI to their advantage. So, like writers, for example, that's been a tough one for freelance writers over the last few years. The best ones are now high impact editors versus writers. So, still kind of need to evolve professionally and go to the next stage, and hopefully AI can be a good assistant to that.
Awesome. And if we switched over to Break the Web's team, so you mentioned that your head of ops is in Lisbon, which isn't too far from me. What kind of team structures worked best for you, Jason?
We've been remote since the very beginning. I've always wanted to work from home in a way. I used to have to go to a gym and work as a personal trainer every day, and I would spend all day and all night there, just hustling. And once I learned about what a virtual assistant was, I was like, oh, I really don't need to leave the house. And living in New York, I always thought about like there's like a social vanity thing that takes place in big metro cities where, oh, I need to have an office. I need to be prestigious. I need to be in this area. That was a little bit of a battle. And thankfully, I didn't get any office space. At the time, I think I had one employee. My first actual US employee was based in New York, but he ended up having to move out, head back to his hometown in Australia. It's been remote since the very beginning. I think if there's a nice overlap between your common hours of time zones between people all around the world, and you have trust that people will do what they say they're going to do, then things can work seamless. And as long as people aren't doing their work selfishly and they're doing it in benefit of the client and the entire organization, then that's kind of how we structure and how we like to set the values here.
Yeah, I love that. I think for me, anyways, my companies are all fully remote as well. And I think everybody's got their own definition of success when they're younger. And one of mine was being able to travel the world and doing something that you're actually passionate about and working on something and building something. And I thought it wouldn't be fair of me to not allow my own team to do that. And again, I think it's such a perk if if one of your big benefits is that you're fully remote, like I've got, Darius, my head of recruitment, wants to go to Canada for a bit. Like, cool, go meet our Canadian clients. You'll be on US time zone as well, or whatever. So, like, yeah, I love that you're remote first and always done that.
Yeah. And to add to that, I mean, work is work. Work is sometimes fun. Work is sometimes aggravating. And if you restrict people from also enjoying the luxuries of life, then what is their mentality going to be at work? Are they going to be resentful? Are they going to be annoyed, frustrated, burnt out? But if they have the flexibility to travel, like you said, we have team members that travel all the time, that get the work done from whether it's a coffee shop or a hostel, a hotel, wherever it might be, wherever they are at. It just adds to the work-life balance and the culture, and definitely a perk. So I'm glad that you guys are doing that as well.
Quick pause. If you're getting value from this conversation about scaling agencies and hiring top talent, I want to share something that might help you. Are you struggling to find A players for your digital marketing agency? We've got you covered. For SEO experts who turn rankings into revenue, head to SEOforhire.co. For paid media specialists who boost your bottom line, check out paidmediajobs.com. And if you're looking for foot rubs, you're definitely in the wrong podcast. All right, let's jump back into the episode.
100%. I think it's so easy to get sucked into especially as a new agency owner. It's so easy to get sucked into. Oh, we'll have the office, we'll have everything. And I remember again, I was living in the Caribbean at the time, and I had Darius. I was coming back to the UK, and he went in to look at a few offices, and he rang me and he was like, "Josh, I find it unbelievable." I'm like, why? What is it? Because all I wanted was like high ceilings and a load of natural light coming in. This office was no windows in this little box unit. But what Darius got sold on was there was a touchscreen unlimited coffee machine at the front. And he's like, dude, unbelievable, like unlimited coffee all day. I was like, no, we're not getting into
Sometimes it's the simple things. Yeah, I can understand that. I can get behind that. I mean, there are like some offices or buildings have like all these amenities that are cool and awesome. Even in New York, there was some commercial buildings that have a gym. So if you rent office space, and you're part of a company, you can get access to the gym. And well, that sounds cool and all. It means you actually got to go in too.
Awesome. And let's talk about hiring advice. What's some of the best hiring advice you can give to other agency owners?
The advice I keep receiving and could be better at too is hire fast, fire faster, to make sure you have the right people. And it's not a dig at specific people, but more so cultural alignment. Sometimes you don't find out until after someone's in that mutually they may not be the right fit for your agency, and you might not be the right fit for them professionally. So that's a motto that I keep trying to keep top of mind, and that keeps getting pushed my way, even from my mentors as well. But also just don't be impulsive, I think, is another good one. Sometimes when you're in a rut and maybe like somebody leaves unexpectedly and you have to fill that spot ASAP, you look for the first best thing that you see without properly taking the time to qualify, vet, test, make sure it's a culture fit, make sure that future growth plans are in alignment and can support each other as well. So I think just taking a chill pill, relaxing a little bit, and not being impulsive is another good piece of advice that I would give.
Awesome. I love that. It's funny, we've been running for nearly 4 years now. And if we look at our first few clients that were, let's say, freelancers going into growing an agency, or like in the very beginning of their agency, we would focus a lot on the soft skills, the cultural alignment. We'd ask a few questions. And I remember with one of our clients, I'd ask like, what personality traits haven't worked out in the past. And they'd laugh and be like, I don't care. They just have to be good at SEO. Like, stop asking me like these kind of cultural questions. And the more that obviously they've grown and we work with them a lot more, it's like you go on their website and they've just got like, this is our values, this is who we work with. And it's funny how like at the start, you're just like, I just want a bum in the seat that just does the job that we need it, like from a technical point of view. But I think the more that you grow, the more that you understand that putting somebody that doesn't fit culturally into your team, and let's say they're in there for 3 months and then they leave because it's not a good fit, like it ruins a lot of team morale, and it slows down the agency as well.
Yeah, it's a very expensive mistake that you learn the hard way. And I know you and your crew, you guys do a great job of finding the best candidates throughout, skills, of course, but also culture fit, core values internally. And I think, yeah, that's a lesson that is often learned the hard way, unfortunately.
Awesome. And speaking about expensive lessons, Jason, what's been the most expensive lesson you've gone through, and how has it kind of changed your approach running Break the Web?
I think it might be related to hiring. I think, again, very similar to what you were just mentioning about some of your early clients. I'm an SEO by nature. I'm not a business person. I'm not a leader. I'm not a communicator. I'm also, like most SEOs, kind of introverted and don't want to leave the house and only have a certain social battery. So learning all these things that are required to run a business doesn't come easy. It doesn't come naturally. When you have the right mentors, the resources, the communities to help you, it makes it a lot easier. But there are very expensive mistakes. You go routes that you think are going to be beneficial for us, for me personally, for the clients, for the team. that pan out to be a really bad route. And I think a lot of it just comes down to getting better at finding the right talent, the right people that also want to work with us at the same way. So it is mutual. So that tends to be an expensive lesson.
Awesome. And one thing I always tell our clients is literally what you said at the end there, that finding people that want to work with you. One of those things is going and looking at the personal brand, let's say the owner, the leadership team of that agency is built, and kind of seeing what they're posting about, what they're doing, what are they celebrating. So you've got a good personal brand, Jason. So well, first of all, what advice would you give to an agency owner that kind of just still hasn't taken that step? And how has it helped growing your agency?
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I primarily use the personal brand for validation. I don't think social activities is getting much new leads, but when someone's doing their due diligence and they'll check up on us, that's where they'll look at LinkedIn, they'll find the videos, they'll find the podcasts, and that will help validate, okay, this is an agency we should continue working with. So I think just the first step is just putting yourself out there. That's the hardest. It's like, oh, you feel vulnerable. I mean, you could use AI to significantly help. You can train an AI on your voice, your tonality. The way I do it with my posts is they're all my original thoughts and ideas, but I'm not a creative. I'm an SEO guy. I'm a technical guy. It allows me to I just rant with an AI voice to text transcriber into my tools, and allows me it organizes the information in a coherent way versus a 4-minute rant that would make absolutely no sense if I just let it out there. So I think just getting yourself out there. I mean, the personal brand is beneficial wherever you go. Whether you're an employer, an employee, there's value there. If you're an employee and also looking for another job and you have a pretty big social following, that's value to a new agency or in-house team as well. And as a founder, not being dependent on the agency for your own success as well is good. Let's say you exit, or let's say you shut down the agency, having that personal brand can be very valuable.
Awesome. I love it. There's I keep on forgetting his name. It's the CEO at Client Boost. I don't know if you know that.
Jonathan Dane, yeah.
Yeah, him. He did a great LinkedIn post maybe a couple of weeks ago. I screenshot it and sent it to the team. But he's basically gamified how he wants his team to post on LinkedIn. And it's like X amount of, like, if there's people getting DMs from it, or if they get leads, or whatever way it is, there's like a leadership board and everybody gets like a bonus at the end of the month. And it's a really, really cool system, the way it's just like gamified it to try and get people posting, which I love.
Yeah, I'm a fan of his, and I have been for quite a while. And that's a hard one. Like, how do you, I mean, you could gamify it, and we've thought using Lovable to build a scoring thing based on, like, you do this, you get 3 points, you share this, or you make a post, you get 5 points. I mean, if people don't want to share on social, like, kind of forcing people on it, I'm curious on how that goes. I think other people might be more motivated than others. So he has a pretty large team. So even if he has half or even a quarter of the people buying in, that's still pretty solid on his part. We're smaller, and that's still something we try to think about, is how to get our team just to even share their thoughts. It doesn't need to be promoting SEO, just putting yourself out there. Be human.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what, so I try and push my team to post on socials. And the reason is like, I feel like if you look at our main competitors, like, nobody can name anybody in that team, because they're either just stuck on cold calling, or they're like doing things like the old traditional way. Whereas most of our leads come in inbound. And yeah, I'd like to think a lot of the people in our industry kind of have had some contact with my team, not just me. And yeah, like, there's things like, if my marketing specialist Shreya, like, she spoke at Comic-Con down in South Africa. I'm like, that stuff's cool. Like, put that up. And then you've got people like Eric Hoover, who used to be SEO director at Jellyfish, like, big name. He's commented on it. He loves Comic-Con. And it's like, that's like, yeah, I'm not wanting everybody just to, in fact, I don't want anybody just to promote SEO for Hire or the other companies, because that's the stuff that doesn't work. It's the stuff, like the personal stuff, like, just get your name out there. And I'd like to think that my team like posts. I'm not forcing anybody to do it, but yeah, I maybe have to ask them again.
I mean, yeah, I think if the incentivization is just to build relationships, because I mean, that'll help them also, or whatever happens to them in the future too, is the relationships will be everything for them. Then yeah, and it doesn't have to be about marketing. It could be a picture of your dog, I think a lot of people tend to overthink it, where they like, oh, I have this one post, I have to make it perfect. sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes just getting out there is a good start.
Yeah, I had a friend that I met in Brighton SEO San Diego, and we've got quite close from just chatting back and forth. And she's gone, and I hope she's not listening to this. She's gone and started her own agency, and she sent me a Google Doc with 20 LinkedIn posts and asked me for my advice to go through it. And I just said it. I was like, no. I was like, you're only get like the first 20 posts, nobody's gonna probably see them. It's like just get 100 out, see what works, and then like go into it. But as well as that, like fall in love with the whole process of actually doing it, or else you're just not going to keep it up. But yeah, Jason, the future of SEO. What are your predictions in the next 2 to 3 years?
I think the future of SEO will very much be kind of the same, but kind of different. I think the principles and the aspects and the work that we're doing on the day-to-day will relatively remain the same. The platforms and how people view SEO and what the Google search results look like might very well, I mean, there's a good chance, probably will be very different. But it's interesting because the fundamentals of SEO has relatively remained the same over the last at least 7, maybe 10 years for the most part. So I think the future might still very much be where we are now, just a lot of noise and a lot of shininess. I think maybe 10 years down the road, that'll be very, very interesting, where the younger generations get a little bit older, they get into professional careers, and then seeing just data from their generation. I think that might be interesting. So the next 2 to 3 years, I think it actually kind of might be relatively the same without any real big new innovations. But I think 10 years will be very cool.
Awesome. And for, let's say there's agency owners that are listening that might be struggling running their agency right now, what advice would you give them to, what should they be focusing on?
Delegate. You can't do everything the best. There are people who can do things that are way better than you can. You think you can do it the best because only you can do SEO, or only you can do finance, or only you can do outreach. But at the same time, you're wearing many hats. And because of that, you're kind of half-assing just about everything. So delegate would be my first recommendation. And that's an art too, being willing to let go of things that you might be a control freak over. That's, I think, the best trait.
Awesome. I love it. Jason, if people want to follow you along on the journey, where can they find you?
You can Google Jason Berkowitz. You can Google Break the Web. You can find me on LinkedIn. And yeah, that's where usually I'm hanging out.
Awesome. Thank you for your time, Jason.
Thanks for sticking around to the end, and I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're an agency owner that is wanting to scale and wants to continue bringing your business to new heights and doesn't want to put everything on pause for hiring and finding the best talent that's out there in SEO and paid media, well, that's something I can help with. I own a recruitment company that has specialized in both the SEO and paid media sector, and we work with 100 plus businesses. So I'm going to leave 2 links below. There's no big pitch here, but if you want to talk over strategy and hiring and how myself and my team can find you the best A-player talent in both the SEO and paid media sector, then please book in, and I look forward to talking to you. Thank you.